also this topic is important. This is my favorite question, long question, medical negligence. That is called as a professional negligence or malpractice or the malpraxis. So what do you mean by negligence? Negligence means doing something that one is not supposed to do, or not doing something that one is supposed to do. जो करना चाहिए वो नहीं करना, और जो नहीं करना चाहिए वो चीज करना. According to the situation, the clinical situation, doctor is doing something that one is not supposed to do, or not doing something that one is supposed to do. So that is the definition of negligence only. Medical negligence means, or professional negligence means, it is the lack of reasonable care or absence of reasonable care and skill, or willful negligence of a medical practitioner in the treatment of a patient which causes bodily injury or a death of the patient. So here there is a failure on the side of doctor. That is, there is an absence of reasonable care. There is a lack of care and skill, and that causes the bodily injury to the patient or death of the patient in the treatment. While the doctor is treating the patient, if there is a lack of care and skill that causes a damage, that is bodily injury, is called as medical negligence. What do you mean by due care? So lack of care means that is a reasonable care or attention for the safety of the patient is required as his or her mental or physical condition require. So it is a duty of doctor to render services and attend the patient at regular interval for the safety of the patient, which his or her mental and physical condition required. If the patient is physically suffering from some disease, or mentally, sometimes he is suffering from a physical condition, but there is a disturbance of the state of mind also. So due care must be taken that patient. The doctor must see that he will not commit a suicide, or the patient will not harm himself or to other because of his sufferings. So that is a due care. He should assess periodically regarding his mental condition as well as the physical condition. You are attending the patient at regular interval, taking round and looking for the just prognosis is not sufficient. One must look for the mental condition also. That is called as a due care, and one should anticipate the complications that are expected to occur, or some complications are known or associated with the one particular type of treatment. That is called as expected or foreseeable complications. One should prepare considering this anticipated complication in that patient. One should have some preparation that if such event occurs, so how you are going to treat the patient. Like in today's condition, we can say that the COVID-19, this is anticipated that there will be outbreak. So how you are going to manage? So to minimize the morbidity and mortality, the education, health education is given to the people, or there is a publication of some data, or some awareness is made through television, newspaper, social media, like that. And parallelly the government is preparing suitable hospital for this communicable disease. So considering the in future, if there is an increase in the patient, so how they are going to manage to minimize the morbidity and mortality. Same way, in your hospital, how many patients are there and which patient may require a ventilator or some special kind of treatment, one should prepare and manage such things uh, before that event occur, so that softly you can handle that patient and you can save the life of the patient. So due care means attend the patient and take the uh, care that and manage the known or foreseeable or anticipated complication. If you fail to manage such things, some procedure is associated with this X kind of complication is known with this procedure, and you perform that procedure in your hospital, and you are not having a equipments to manage such complication, then this is considered as a prima facie the doctor is a negligent. This is a negligent act that you are performing the some XYZ procedure where the X is the complication that is very common and known, and you are not having the equipment to treat such patient if it is the such complication. So remember these things. So this is a due care. So breach of standard of care. Now there is a breach of standard of care occurs by two ways. One is the commission, one is the omission. When you are doing something wrong, that is the commission. When you are not doing where you are supposed to do something, that is a omission. So this occurs, this breach of standard of care occur in two situations. When one you deviate from the standard practice. So you are not following the standard practice, you deviate from the standard or accepted protocol. That is one thing. Second thing, you are doing a procedure by the accepted practice or the method, but you are doing that with unskillfully. So these are the two situations where there is a breach of standard care occurs. Now the medical negligence is of two types. One is the civil negligence, one is the criminal negligence. But other type of negligences are the corporate negligence, contributory, and the ethical negligence. So first we will discuss the civil negligence. So civil negligence is a form of negligence in which patient brings action or damages in civil court against his medical attendant, that is against the doctor, treating doctor, if he had suffered injury in consequence of negligence or unskilled treatment. So here, civil negligence where the this action is brought by the patient or the relatives of the patient can also bring the suit against the doctor in civil court for the damages suffered by the patient during his treatment. And this allegations or the suit is being against the treating doctor. So because of the negligent action or commission or omission, so he suffered some injury, so that can be compensated. The patients are having the right to get the compensation. They are having the right to make a complaint. In last lecture we discussed about the rights of the patient. So they are having a right to make a complaint. They are having a right to get the compensation also. So civil negligence in civil court by the patient against the doctor when he suffered injury. This is important. The patient must suffer some injury because of the negligent act of the doctor. Then only he can make a complaint in court. Now, as I told, this suit can be bring by the patient or his relative against the doctor when they suffered some injury due to the negligence act of the doctor. Or the doctor also can file a suit against the patient in the civil court when the patient refused to pay or alleging the professional. So on the ground of medical negligence, when the patient or the relatives of the patient refuse to pay the fees of the doctor or the hospital charges, then doctor can bring the suit against the patient in civil court. Now, elements of negligence. So this is the most important. So liability for negligence arises if the following conditions are satisfied. If the following four conditions are satisfied, then only that act of commission or omission is considered as a negligent act and doctor is liable for the punishment. So what are these four conditions? One is the duty. Existence of duty of care by the doctor must be there. So all these four conditions starts with the letter D. Letter D. So first D is the duty. So there must be a therapeutic relationship between doctor and the patient. So existence of the duty is required, it is must. Second thing is the dereliction. That is a failure on the part of doctor to maintain the care and skill. So there is a lack of care and skill must be there. First thing is duty is required. Second thing is lack of skill and care must be there. Third is the damage. Damage means the suffering. The patient suffered some physical injury. That is, here the mental injuries are also considered as a damage. Even the hospital stay is increased. So that is a mental kind of suffering, mental suffering. So family get disturbed like that. So damage must be there. And fourth thing is the lack, that is act of a doctor is a direct cause for the damage. So direct causation. So act of a doctor, that is a negligent act of a doctor, is directly responsible for the physical or the mental suffering caused to the patient. So 4 Ds are required to say that the doctor is a negligent. One is duty. There must be a therapeutic relationship between doctor and patient. So doctor is having a duty towards the patient. Second is the lack of, that is a dereliction, that is the lack of skill and care. Third is the damage. So that lack of care and the skill causes a damage, that is the physical or mental damage to the patient. And fourth one is the direct causation. So that negligent act of a doctor is directly responsible for the damage suffered by the patient. Then only it is called as negligence. The burden of proof. So this is lies on the patient. The patient should prove all the 4 elements of negligence by the appropriate evidences. So it requires a proof that show that the act of a doctor was negligent and that causes a damage. Now, any absence of proper skill or care that causes the following damages. So some examples are given here, that is constituted as injury in legal sense. So negligent act of a doctor causes a death, or this diminishes the chances of recovery. That is also considered as a damage. Causes a physical harm. Sometimes there is a burn injury caused because of a pottery used in the hospital during any procedure, or sometimes physical injury in the form of while giving the that, radiation, that also causes the burn. So that physical injuries are sometimes occurred because of the negligent act of a doctor or the subordinate of the doctor. Then bodily impairment. So sometimes because of the negligent act, or a timely decision was not taken by the doctor, that may lead to some complication, or sometimes amputation may be required. So bodily impairment, disfigurement, prolongs the illness or increases the suffering. That is a pain. These are the two examples of the damages. But remember, if there is no damage caused to the patient, though the doctor is negligent, doctor cannot be considered as a negligent. The 4 Ds are required to prove, to say that the doctor's act was a negligent act. If there is a duty was present, or a dereliction was there, lack of care was there, but there is no damage caused to the patient, though the doctor was negligent in his duty, but no damage is caused, doctor cannot be considered as a negligent. The patient must suffer some damage. Then only he can sue the doctor for the compensation. Liability. So patient must suffer some loss, and that loss, that examples just I told you, death, prolonged illness, diminish the chances of recovery, bodily impairment, disfigurement. So the patient must suffer some loss, and that loss are measured and compensated in the terms of money. So in civil negligence, the compensation is given according to the what is the loss suffered by the patient, that is measured, and it is compensated in terms of money. The amount of damage done is the measure of extent of liability. So what is the damage caused to the patient? That is the measure for fixing the amount of compensation. So for example, loss of earning, either due to absence from the work or the prevention or impairment of his ability to carry out his occupation. So because of negligent act of the doctor, if the patient remain more days absent from his work, so he will lose his earning. Or sometimes because of the negligent act, if there is a bodily impairment or disfigurement, that may prevent him from performing his occupation. So that can be measured. So what is the age of the patient today, and what amount he is earning per month, and considering the age of retirement as 60, so up to the age of 60 years, what will be the amount he will earn? That is calculated adding the interest and all these. Some formulas are there for this purpose, and accordingly the amount is fixed. Next is the expenses incurred, that is a hospital, medicine, or a diet, transportation, nursing care, rehabilitation, etc., etc. So whatever the expenses incurred by the patient, so that is considered, and that if that increases the hospital stay, the negligent act, then this amount is considered plus his loss of earning, and the amount is fixed. Next is the reduction in expectation of the life. So again, this is the one example. There is a, again, the considering the age of the patient and what amount he will earn in his remaining life, that is considered. Reduce enjoyment of life, that is because of loss of function of limb or a sense. Pain and suffering, that is physical, mental. That includes pride, humiliation, mental anguish, grief, and embarrassment. So for this also, for the mental suffering, there is a fixed amount, and considering various aspects of the patient also, whether he is the only earning person in the family, his age, etc., like that. Number of components are there. So, considering that, the amount is fixed. Then the loss of potency. So, because of the negligent act of the doctor, the patient become impotent. Then there is a that case is considered differently. So this is a different merit for considering or calculating the amount of compensation, aggravation of the pre-existing condition or a death. So these are the some examples for the calculating the amount of compensation when the patient suffered some suffering, that is a physical or mental. Amount of damage is the measure of extent of the liability. Suit for negligence must be filed within 2 years. So time limit is 2 years from the date of alleged negligence. So from the date of alleged negligence, the case must be filed within 2 years. Then only it is valid. And res judicata that we will discuss later on. So our law presumes that the person who is having a medical qualification and he is a medical practitioner, so such person, they use their a reasonable degree of skill, knowledge, care, and prudence in the treatment of his or her patient to the best of his judgment. And he is not liable for the error of judgment or the error of the diagnosis. Error when you are applying your knowledge, skill, you are taking a proper care, and then also if the patient has suffered some damage, then doctor is not negligent because of on the ground of error of judgment or the error of diagnosis. Some immunity is also there, even by the law. Now, these cases of or the litigation against the doctor on the ground of negligence, there are many causes for the this filing the litigation against the doctor on the ground of negligence. But some example are there on which the case can be filed against the doctor. So some examples are like this: failure to obtain an informed consent. So we'll discuss the consent in detail next week. So for every procedure, the consent must be taken prior to the procedure. This is the mandatory by the law. So you are a competent doctor, you are a Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, etc. You are a very well-known practitioner in the city or in the country. And if you fail to take the informed consent before procedure, and if the patient suffered some complication, he can file the case against you on the ground of the consent was not taken. And here, no other proofs are required, evidences are required to prove that the act of a practitioner was a negligent act. So, failure to obtain the informed consent, this is one. Failure to examine patient himself. So, patient is coming in your name, and other person is attending that patient. Then also, he can file the suit against you. You must inform the patient that I am not going to attend you. This subordinate will come. I will come once in a week or daily, one time, whatever the things are there. Explain everything because you are having the right to choose the patient. If you don't want to treat that patient, don't take that patient. Refuse that patient. He will go some other place. But when you are accepting the patient, you must examine patient yourself, or take the consent of the patient, or inform the patient regarding if someone other person is attending on behalf of you. Failure or delay in diagnosis. So if you are doing a delay in diagnosis, you are not performing whatever the required investigation, then also this is a negligence. Making a wrong diagnosis due to absence of skill and care. Last slide I told that when you are applying your knowledge, skill, and you are taking a proper care, and then there is a error of judgment regarding the diagnosis, then doctor is not considered as a negligent. This is immunity given by the law. But when you are not applying your knowledge and skill, you are not taking a proper care, then you are making a wrong diagnosis, then you are a negligent. Failure to attend the patient in time. This is most important, particularly in the casualty department, in emergency department. So when you are attending the patient late, and because of attending the patient late or not attending the patient in time, that may change the prognosis of that case. Sometimes the mortality may occur and the doctor is responsible. You are immune from the action. For this example, if at that time you were engaged or you were busy in saving the life of other patient, if that thing is proved, then you are excused or you will not be considered as a negligent in this instance. Failure to provide the substitute. So whenever you are going out of station or you are not available, so one must provide the competent substitute. Remember the word, competent substitute in your absence. Failure to immunize and perform a sensitivity test. So some drugs require a sensitivity test before injecting. So one must perform a sensitivity test. If you fail to perform sensitivity test, reaction occur, then you are a negligent. Your act is negligent. Failure to immunize. So common example is in case of RTA, we are giving the injection TT, like immunization. So like that, other are also dog bite case. Other examples are there in clinical practice. You will come to know. So if you fail to perform that immunization, then that is a negligent act. Because of that failure of act, the patient suffered some complication. Remember, 4 things are required to prove that the doctor is negligent: duty, dereliction, damage, and direct causation. Next is to delegate the duty to another doctor without the consent of the patient. So when you are giving your duty to another doctor, inform the patient, take the consent, or refer the patient to other hospital if he refuses. Not ordering X-ray examination means not ordering an investigation which is required in that particular case. In a case of road traffic accident, when there is a abrasion over the abdomen, so you can consider the possibility of the blunt trauma of abdomen. So you required one ultrasonography. Then there is a CLW, lacerated on the head. In case of RTA, you can consider that there might be some complication that is in the form of a hemorrhage in the brain. So you must advise the CT scan or whatever. Along with some evidences which will suggest, like that you can take a Glasgow Coma Scale for advising the CT scan, or without that also you can advise if you consider, or as per your experience, if you feel this investigation is required, one must order. Otherwise, the patient may suffer the complication. He will not get the treatment in time for that situation or for that diagnosis, which is missed because of not ordered in time. So not reading the X-ray correctly. So just to advise the investigation, if this is not sufficient, the interpretation of the investigation, interpretation is also equally important. So if doctor failed to interpret the investigation report, then also it is a negligent act. If you are not competent, get it from the competent person. Failure to give the proper instructions. So in duties of RMP, we discuss about this. This is a duty of doctor to give the instruction, inform the risk and warn about the side effect. Failure to give the proper post-operative care. So one must watch the patient first 24 hours in the operative patient are important. So there are the chances of leakage or the hemorrhage is most common in the first 24 hours. Then there's some anesthesia effect also causes some complication also. So one must be careful during the post-operative period. The first 24 hours is the most crucial. Refusal to admit the patient requiring urgent hospitalization. If the patient with such a condition came to your hospital which required hospitalization, but you refuse to admit the patient, whatever the things you are going to do with your patient, once it is examined by you, means you accepted the patient, note down the fact in the case paper. Because this case paper medical record is only going to save you. So mention that this, whatever your examination points, your diagnosis, and what is the requirement. The patient required hospitalization, but you are not having a ICU bed available in your hospital. So the patient is referred to the government hospital XYZ. Like that, make a short note on this. You advise hospitalization to that patient. But you refuse to admit him in your hospital because of the non-availability of the intensive care bed in your ICU. This is important. But if you are not giving the advice for hospitalization and you are not admitting in your hospital also, then this is a negligent act. Negligent management of procedure. So any procedure, negligent management, if you are not taking the proper care, you are not using a sterilized instrument, equipment, then also that is a negligent management of the procedure, labor procedure, any procedure you can say. Even taking a blood sample, collection of the blood sample with unsterile material, that is a negligent act. Failure to obtain the second consultation. So this is a duty of doctor to take the second opinion, second consultation from your colleague. Then some examples were also given, we discussed in last lecture. Then experimenting on the patient. So don't experiment. So you must perform the procedure as per the standard practice. That is by the acceptable way. That is the universally accepted method. By this way, don't experiment. And if you are experimenting on the patient, take the consent from the patient for that experiment. Explain the risk associated with that experiment. Giving the overdose of the medicine. So one must give the medicine as per considering the age and the weight of that person, that you know better than me. That is taught to you in pharmacology. As per the requirement and how long you are advising that medicine, that is also important. Premature discharge. So once you discharge the patient when he or she is fully recovered from that disease. If you are discharging before that recovery, so that may again lead to some complication. So that is a negligent act. Prescribing a drug that are previously resulted in adverse reaction. So last time you advised XYZ drug that causes a ABC complication, that is adverse reaction. Next time again the patient came to you and you are advising same the drug XYZ. So again it will cause ABC complication, adverse reaction. So then you are responsible. So that's why we are taking in history, taking allergic to the some drugs or a diet also. We are asking about that too. One should mention in your record also. So when the second time the patient will come, so you will have your own data. Nowadays, the softwares are very commonly used to preserve the past history of your patient. So to cover up, next is to cover up the error of judgment. Next is the administration of addiction forming drugs for a long period. If you are advising some prescribing some drug, that is an addiction forming drug. So don't advise such drugs for a long period. Otherwise, the patient becomes addicted to that drug. Administration of incorrect drug. So the drug which is not indicated in that situation, if you are giving, so that is a administration of incorrect drug. So while you are prescribing any drug to the patient, you must have a clear idea in your mind that this drug is indicated in this patient because of this reason. If somebody asks you what is the cause of prescribing this drug, you must be able to justify that because of this drug is advised. So that is a indicated drug. Mistaken in labeling the bottle of infusion of blood and other IV fluid. So this is again a very common cause of that complication occurred in the treatment. That the labeling of the bottle is also equally important. When we are giving some medicine over the 8 hours or 12 hours IV, so one should mention properly that what is the drug in that, what is the quantity, what is the rate, and at what time it was started. So you can avoid the complication. Read the label before giving any medicine to the patient. For the blood, when you are doing the blood transfusion, so read the label properly, confirm that the patient's blood group and that bag is having the same blood group. Failure to inform the patient of the risk of refusal for the treatment. So doctor must inform the patient about the fact and what are the treatment available, and if the patient refuse to give the consent for a treatment, then one should inform the risk associated with the refusal of the treatment. So these are some examples where the doctor can be considered as a negligent. If the case is filed on this ground, then the doctor is a negligent. This point is again important. So unauthorized additional treatment or surgery is beneficial to the patient. Remember, this word is important. Unauthorized. Unauthorized additional treatment or surgery is beneficial to the patient, or that would save the considerable time and expenses to the patient, or would relieve the patient from the pain and suffering in future, are not a ground of defense and amount to the tortious act of assault and battery, and therefore deficiency in service. When you are doing some unauthorized procedure that is beneficial to the patient, that would save the considerable time and expense of the patient, or that will relieve the patient from the pain and suffering, then also this is not the ground of defense. Remember. So authorized, so the consent must be taken before the procedure. Doctor is not liable for the error of judgment or diagnosis. If he has taken all the care and applied the knowledge and skill and having the secured data which is required for the diagnosis, then the doctor is not considered as a negligent. Like we can say the common example of today's situation, that is COVID. Some patients are the asymptomatic. Means the swab was taken, that was analyzed, that was came negative report, but later on the patient again showing the symptoms. So here there is an error of judgment. There is a no delay of the judge making a diagnosis, not delaying the diagnosis, but there is a all the care was taken and the whatever the investigations are required. So we are having all the necessary data. So such patient, if transmit the disease to another, then also the doctor is not considered as a negligent. So such person is in today's situation must be quarantined like that. Next is the failure to cure or the bad result. So don't think that when you start the practice, every patient is admitted in your hospital will get relief from his suffering and he will be cured or recovered from that disease and he will go home by walking. This is not possible. So sometimes you are doing everything which is required, then also the patient is not responding. Means the patient is not having that immunity. Or sometimes there is a resistance to some drugs also there. Because of misuse of the drug, sometimes that causes a resistance in some patients. The X drug giving the beneficial result in one patient, but it is not giving the beneficial result in another patient. So failure to cure or for the bad result, the doctor is not responsible. But the condition is that when proper care was taken and there is an application of knowledge and skill is there. So one should continue with or her services. Don't withdraw your services when the patient is not getting cured or showing the bad result in spite of all the treatment possible you are giving to him or her. If exercises care and skill, provided that his judgment conform to the accepted medical practice and does not result in the failures. Next is the attend on behalf of third party. You are not responsible. Doctor is not responsible. So because you are when attending on behalf of third party, so that is a formal relationship. So that is not a therapeutic relationship. So doctor is not responsible. Some risks are inherent, like a broken needle. So sometimes giving at the time of giving the intramuscular injection, the needle may break because of a sudden contraction caused by the patient. There is because of a sudden muscular contraction that will break the needle. So this is a inherent. That is one of the known complications. That is a common complication. So doctor is not responsible or not liable for this act. But the doctor is negligent when he is not recognizing that the needle is broken and not attempted to remove that broken needle from the body, then the doctor is negligent. No doctor ensures the success either in diagnosis or in the treatment. So don't give the guarantee to your patient. बस अब मेरे पास आ गया, अब तुझे कोई नहीं मार सकता. Now you are in a very safe hand. So don't guarantee the cure, that 100% cure. Otherwise, you will land in problem. There is always room for a difference of opinion among the doctor. Bad results are not necessarily due to the negligent act of a doctor. So remember these points also to avoid the litigation. So according to the law, doctor is a negligent. Like that, we talked about the example of that broken needle during the intramuscular injection. So what law consider the doctor is negligent when he did not consider the possibility that the complication might occur. So you are admitted the patient, you must know what are the complications in this case that might occur, whether you are having the sufficient equipment or facilities in your hospital to treat such complications. If you are not considering this possibility, according to the law, you are a negligent. Second thing is that he failed to watch for it carefully. For example, we talked about the post-operative care or intramuscular injection. So in both the situations, suppose I am intramuscular injection was given and patient causes a sudden contraction of the muscle that breaks the needle and the half needle remain inside. And if you fail to watch this, so whenever you are giving intramuscular injection, when you are removing the needle again, look for the needle, whether it is a complete or partial. So if it is a complete, fully removed from the body, so then it is okay. Sometimes it may break. So recognize this thing that needle is broken, and one must manage that case. Remove that part, so you are not negligent. Same for the post-operative care. The patient after operation taken into the ICU, some changes are occurring in the in drain bag. There is a collection of blood, but you must watch these things and interpret what is happening to the patient. So watching and recognizing, these two things are important. This is not sufficient to watch, means just watching, okay, but simultaneously recognize, interpret the situation, what is the wrong with this patient, or what is the likely complication, or what the management part is required further. So make the arrangement. If the patient sometimes may require a blood transfusion after operation, so you must have a sufficient reservation of the bag. So, or he failed to recognize, or he failed to treat it in time in appropriate fashion. So, according to the law, the doctor is negligent in this situation. One is he did not consider the possibility of the complication, is not having the sufficient equipment and the facilities to treat that. Second, he failed to watch the condition, then failed to recognize, used to interpret the condition, and failed to treat that complication. So in such situation, as per the law, doctor is a negligent. So degree of competence is a different criteria. The two persons will not have the same competence. Suppose one is the resident doctor and one is the unit head or head of department. Now these both the person are having a different competency level. So degree of competence is not the fixed criteria or quality. This varies according to the status, experience. So one must limit his activity as per his competence. So everybody knows about what is the degree of competence I am possessing. So I must limit my activities within that area only. If some medical condition is beyond my competence, I must call my senior colleague, or I must refer the patient to my senior colleague. But when I am attempting as a senior person, then I am liable for the damages caused or suffered by the patient. Because I am not having that competence, but I am doing that treatment, means as per the law, I am proving that I am having that competence to treat such a patient. And if the patient suffered some complication because of lack of skill that I was not possessing, I was not having that, then I am a negligent doctor. So competence is the again important criteria. So everybody must limit your activity within your area of competence only. If it is beyond your competence, you can refer the patient to your senior colleague or call your senior colleague. Burden of proving the negligence lies on the patient. So here doctor is a dependent and this patient is the plaintiff. So in order to prove the negligence, it is not necessary to prove that negligent party, the doctor had a bad motive or intention. So our duty is to just defend what are the allegations against us. Okay. Remaining topic we'll discuss tomorrow. Hello. Remaining topic we'll discuss tomorrow at 11 a.m. Tomorrow we are having a class at 11.